The Great Smelly, Slobbery, Small-Toothed Dog, retold by Margaret Reed MacDonald. A rich man was set upon by thieves, but suddenly a great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed dog leaped from the bushes. Woof! The dog chased the robbers away. "You saved my life," said the man. "Come to my house tomorrow. I will give you one of my treasures. In my house I have a golden fish that can speak 100 languages. Would you like that fish as your reward?" "No," said the dog, "I would not." "In my house I have a golden bird that can sing 1,000 songs. Would you like that bird?" "No, I would not." "I also have a golden goose. It lays 1 egg a day, solid gold. Would you like that?" "No, I would not. I have named all my treasures. What could you want?" "In your house you have a beautiful daughter. That is the treasure I choose." It was true, the man's daughter was his greatest treasure, but he hadn't thought about that. "Come to my house tomorrow," he said sadly. So the man had to go home and tell his daughter all that had happened. But his daughter was not afraid. "You gave your word," she said. "I will go with the great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed dog." Next day, the dog came to take her away. "Jump onto my back. Hold tight to my fur. I'll take you to my house. You're going to like it there." She climbed onto his back and held tight to his fur. Off he ran, over the fields, to the first hedge, and he leaped that hedge in a single bound, and over the fields to the second hedge, and he leaped that hedge in a single bound, and over the fields to the third hedge, and he leaped that hedge in a single bound, and over the fields to his very own house. His house was a castle. There was a bed with silken sheets, a closet of silk and satin dresses in just her size, and shelves of books, just the kind she liked to read. Every evening the dog came to her room to dine, and after dinner he told her such funny stories. She laughed and laughed. In the afternoons they would play on the lawn. She would throw his golden ball, and he would bring it back. She would throw the ball again, and he would bring it back. Then they would sit in the shade of a tree, and he would lay his great head in her lap. She would stroke his soft fur, even though it was smelly, and murmur, "Dear dog, you are sweet as a honeycomb, as sweet as a honeycomb." But at night, when she was alone in her room, she would think of her father and miss him so. "I'm held prisoner here by a great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed dog." One day the dog found her weeping. "What is wrong? Don't I give you everything to make you happy?" "Everything, yes, but I miss my father." "I'll take you home for a visit. Climb onto my back and I will take you there." So she climbed onto the dog's back, held tight to his fur, and off he bounded, over the fields and over the fields. But when he came to the first hedge, he stopped. "Wait, what's that you always call me?" She knew what he wanted to hear. "I call you sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, he leaped the hedge in a single bound, and over the fields to the second hedge. "What's that you call me?" By now she was thinking of getting home to her father, and she forgot to be kind to the dog. "Oh, I call you a great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed dog," she muttered. "Woof!" And he whirled and raced back to his house, and the girl did not get to see her father that day. Next week, he found her crying again. "Jump onto my back, hold tight to my fur, I will take you home for a visit." Off they bounded over the fields to the first hedge. "What's that you always call me?" She vowed to say only sweet things about the dog this time. "I always call you sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, he leaped the hedge in a single bound and over the fields to the second hedge. "What's that you always call me?" "Sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, he leaped the hedge in a single bound and over the fields to the third hedge. "What's that you call me?" She could see her house in the distance. She forgot to be kind. A great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed wolf! That dog whirled and flew back to his house. Next week she was crying again. "Climb onto my back. I will take you to your home." Over the fields to the first hedge. "What's that you always call me?" "I call you sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, over the fields to the second hedge. "What's that you call me again?" "Sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, over the fields to the third hedge. "What's that you always call me?" And she was careful to say, "Sweet as a honeycomb." Yes, over the fields and right up to her door. "Wait, once more. What's that you call me?" But the girl had her hand on the latch to go in. A great, smelly, slobbery, small-toothed. Then she looked down and saw such sorrow in that dog's eyes. "Oh, dog, I'm sorry. I call you sweet as a honeycomb, sweeter than a honeycomb." When the dog heard those dear words and saw the look of love in her eyes, he ripped off his smelly fur and became a handsome prince with the smallest teeth you ever did see. So she was married to the prince with the small, small teeth. And on sunny afternoons, she throws the golden ball and he brings it back. She throws the ball again and he brings it back. Then they sit in the shade of a tree and she strokes his hair, which isn't smelly at all anymore, and murmurs, "Dear Prince, you are sweet as a honeycomb, sweeter than a honeycomb."